Since joining Love Thy Nerd, we have been exploring the depths of our nerdiness, but we have also come to realize that there are several areas where our nerdiness comes up, shallow? Of course, not all nerds like all nerd things, but it never is a bad time to try to expand our knowledge on subjects we don't understand.
This week, we'll be taking a deeper look into parts of nerd culture we're less familiar with and see if there's something there that interests us. Are you ready? It's time to wake up.
It's a new day. Yes, it is.
Wakey, wakey.
Time to get up.
Good morning, citizens.
Open and then
Rise and shine!
This is your wake-up call, people.
Come on, the coffee's on.
We're gonna get you guys circulating on Christian radio.
I understand young people. I know what's hip. I know what's on. I know what's lit. I know what's fleet.
What's up, my nerds?
Nerds!
I work with a bunch of nerds.
I'm a nerd, and I'm pretty proud of it.
Rise and shine, nerds.
You're tuned in to the Back Row Morning Show, proudly a part of the Love Thy Nerd podcast network. I'm Radio Matt, the station manager and a nerd culture missionary here at LTN. I'm a third-generation radio dude and a lifelong nerd.
And I'm Mo, the chief cohort in Crazy, here to bring the facts and fire to your day. Now, where's my coffee?
The Back Row Morning Show is a Monday through Thursday show on LTN Radio that covers a wide range of topics from all across church and pop culture. And we usually take the topic in four segments, focusing on different aspects of our weekly discussion. You're listening to a compilation of the main topic segments from this past week's morning shows.
This week, we're examining areas of nerd culture that we don't understand yet.
Before we jump into our discussions, Mo and I also have a side venture called Back Row Games, home of several Christian tabletop games, including our two most popular, Judge Not and Sunday School Answers. Sunday School Answers is the original Christian knockoff of Cards Against Humanity. All the awkward fun without the need to bathe and bleach afterwards to get all the sin off.
We've just released 2 new booster packs, the Y2K pack, all about the year 2000, and the TV pack, full of references from fan favorite shows.
We are working on 3 new expansions and 1 big project. First, the new expansions. We've got the Gamer Deck, which is a double deck with 105 new cards that we've made in conjunction with the Love Thy Nerd community. That should be coming out by July, maybe sooner. Shortly after that, we'll have the Spoiler Deck. This is an idea that actually Bubba from Church Nerds gave me, where every answer card is a spoiler to a movie or TV show. And then finally, we should have the first Weird News pack coming out in a few months, where all the cards are based on weird news stories we share on the Back Row Morning Show.
The big project we're working on is the Sunday School Answers Love Thy Nerd edition. It is a full deck of 612 cards where we've combined all the nerdiest expansions and boosters in one box. 12 of our expansions in one box. These will be given away at this year's LTN Con, and they will also be for sale for a limited time and will be the perfect nerdy companion to our core game.
You can check it all out and get your copy of Sunday School Answers at backrowgames.com. This week, we are talking about nerdy things we just aren't into. Originally, I was going to call this episode We Don't Understand Anime, but it's more than that. We don't understand otaku as a culture, but we want to. So we have done some research, and some of it we will be doing live. So first off, let's define otaku. It actually has different connotations in America and Japan. In Japanese culture, this is kind of a derogatory term for like a basement-dwelling nerd who's obsessed with computers and anime. However, in America, it is more used as a celebrated term for those who are nerdy over Japanese nerd culture. So anime, manga, comics, statue collecting, stuff like that. Mo, do you have any experience with Japanese nerd culture?
Pokemon.
I think that
That's
counts.
it.
Though
Dragon Ball Z.
that is highly Americanized. Dragon Ball Z, I think, counts.
That's it.
Yeah, but that's about it. Have you watched a lot of Dragon Ball Z, or you're just aware of it?
I'm just aware of it.
Aware of it? Do your kids watch
It's
it?
been on as I am cleaning my house because Topher is very much into Dragon Ball Z,
Yeah.
Pokemon.
I think Pokemon is the easiest thing to be into that crosses that kind of continental divide,
Yeah.
because it is very Americanized. It is highly Nintendo,
Yeah.
which is, in both cultures. And it's all in. I mean, it's we've had movies with Ryan Reynolds voicing a Detective
Right.
Pikachu.
But
Like,
if you know my child, then you know that he doesn't just like tiptoe into something.
Yeah.
Once he finds something that he enjoys, he goes all in.
Mm-hmm.
And so for him, it is not really, sure, he enjoys, the Americanized, what we all think of when we think of Pokemon. But for Topher, it is so much more
Okay.
than that. And so because I think just, he's my kid, I've heard, maybe not always willingly heard, but I have heard and know a lot more about it than what I ever thought that I would.
Yeah, the only real experience I have with Pokemon is also through my son, and my son barely knows anything about it.
Naruto?
Yeah, I am aware of that only because of that weird, that weird group that was like jokingly planning to break into Area 51,
Oh, yeah.
steal all the aliens and set them free.
Yeah.
They said that they were going to Naruto run so they couldn't be caught. And so I had to look up what that was. And so I
fair.
got a little bit of a hint, but I haven't seen any of that. Dragon Ball Z also I'm aware of just because it got big in American culture.
Yeah.
And then I guess the only other thing is maybe Power Rangers, because all the fighting from Power Rangers, all the fighting scenes, at least from most of the early series, are actually taken from Super Sentai or whatever, which is a Japanese show.
Go Power Rangers.
And they just hired American actors
I had no idea.
and built the
It
American
makes
scenes.
sense. Like
Yeah.
now that it makes sense, but I would have never, ever, ever thought of that or realized it.
That's why in the older, like the original Power Ranger shows, the kids, the teenagers are all, it's basically like a little, it's like, Saved by the Bell looking like, in the shows, and they're talking normal. But if you go to the scenes with Rita Repulsa, her mouth never matches up with the words she's saying. Because she's not being filmed for the American series. She's the villain in the original one. Now, I think eventually that kind of shifted, but originally, all those villains, Goldar and all that was all part of the Super Sentai series.
How old am I? And I am just now learning this.
Yeah. And that went on well into the, long into the life of the show. It might still be happening. But, within the last decade or so, I know it was still happening. And that's even with them changing the show basically every year or every 2 years with a new theme and new kids and new everything.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And again, that was highly Americanized because we even had the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. That was all shot here. That had nothing to do with the Japanese version.
Which I love.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was terrible, but it was great.
Listen, even more than that, I had the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Christmas.
Oh, I had that too.
Oh,
Alpha's Magical
yes.
Christmas. Or
If I
whatever
could
it
get my
was.
hands on that again.
I think I have the digital version.
Oh.
I'm almost certain I have the
Going
MP4
back to
version.
my
I'll
childhood.
send it to you.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah. Holy cow. I forgot all about that.
Okay, so my whole we are taking a total
It's
rabbit
fine.
trail, but
It's our show.
my
We
whole
can do what we want.
right. Thank you. My whole Christmas movie rule. Mm-hmm. Okay, that I would hide in my room and watch the Power Rangers Christmas without anybody knowing. In the dead of summer.
Like it was some dirty secret.
Because that's the rule in my house growing up. You
Yeah.
did not watch Christmas movies until after Thanksgiving. And then you didn't watch them after the new year.
Right.
That was the only time. But I sure enough did break that rule for the Power Rangers Christmas.
So see, you were into much more Japanese culture than you even knew.
I guess, huh?
So I found an article that breaks down like 3 different levels of love of Japanese culture. So it's called The Surprising Differences Between an Anime Enthusiast, Otaku, and a Weeb.
Okay.
I've only heard the term weeb one time. That was from Hector in one of his devotionals. He said he was a grumpy old weeb because he didn't want to give something else a shot. And he realized that.
Okay.
So here are the Japanese definitions for otaku and weeb. Weeb, or weeaboo, is a mostly derogatory slang term for a Western person who is obsessed with Japanese culture, especially anime, often regarding it as superior to all other cultures. So basically, Americans who only care about Japanese culture. Then otaku, in Japan, the word can be most closely equated with the English word geek, but the meaning is not as simple as that. Otaku is also defined in Japan as a word that defines a person who has obsessive interests and can apply to a wide variety of topics, including anime, manga, cosplay, collectibles, and more. But here's like the definition that they have here. An anime enthusiast is a casual watcher of anime. Enthusiasts in the anime community are in the lower end of the stick in terms of interest and extremes. They don't own tons of anime merchandise, posters, figures, t-shirts, or anything of that sort. They just watch anime every now and then, but they don't get too deep into the culture. They respect it from afar and keep things casual. Everyone starts out at this level before going any further into the anime community. An otaku is someone who's deep into anime. An otaku, or what I call level 2, is the middle ground of what it means to enjoy anime. Otakus know their stuff. They watch anime frequently and maybe even own merchandise or cosplay. These types of people are artists, bloggers, business owners, writers, and so on. Or at the least, they know a lot of the latest anime blogs, anime news, follow various anime accounts, and more. Otakus have an obsession that's more like a passion than it is an addiction. And that's the key difference between an enthusiast or a weeb. Otakus never let anime ruin their lives or get in the way of their life's priorities. You can think of an otaku the same way you would a professional gamer who plays games, is deep in the culture, and doesn't let it take over their lives in a negative way. It's all about balance, being grounded while still having passion without letting it corrupt your life or perception of how the world works. Then a weeb is someone who's delusional to their own detriment. A weeb is what I call level 3 in the anime community, and it's the most dangerous level to reach. This tends to happen because of personal issues like self-esteem, loneliness, delusion, or something else separate from anime. And this is what I mean by delusion or personal issues unrelated to being an anime fae. At first, it looks hilarious, stupid, mind-blowing, or unreal, but this is depressing and not funny at all. You see, the definition of weeb is when you become too obsessed to the point of madness, when anime takes over your life and you can no longer differentiate between fiction and reality, when you become so lost in anime that you use it as a drug to escape your problems, when you use anime to compensate for something that you don't have in life, like love, affection, being wanted, and when you become so delusional that you disregard reality, hence suicide. These stories are dark, and as bonkers as it looks, it's all the truth. None of it is made up or exaggerated, but it's the best depiction of what it means to be a weeb, at least when we're talking about the definition outside of Japan. But even then, when you compare the non-Japanese definition and the original definition, they're almost one and the same. So, essentially, a weeb is like anybody who gets too overly obsessed with a certain kind of culture, subculture, activity, anything that we over obsess for to basically step outside of reality because they don't like their own life, which is something that we can understand. And I can also see how that is definitely a dangerous level to get to. But it's obviously not something that is specific to just the anime community. Because like I said, that can happen with anything. You can be too addicted to sports. You can be too addicted to work. You can be too addicted to spending money. You can be too addicted to so many things.
So many things.
Because of those same reasons and have those same kind of reactions.
Yeah.
Do you understand it a little bit better?
I do.
So one of the things that we want to kind of challenge ourselves with over the course of the next few days is to try and not only learn a little bit more, but learn a little bit more about ourselves within this community. So I have a quiz we're both going to take called What Anime Should I Watch?
Okay.
Okay, so it's going to give us a few questions and it'll tell us what anime we should pick for our first anime. And I think our goal should be sometime in the near future to actually do this. Actually, at least watch an episode of it.
Okay.
And give our thoughts.
You gonna send me the thing?
Well, no, I'll answer them both here for us. I have it open in 2 windows.
Oh, look at you.
So,
smart.
What genre are you in the mood for? The options are horror or thriller, comedy, action, or drama. I'm going to pick comedy.
I'm gonna pick drama.
All right. You're going to pick drama. All right. Let's see. Question number 2. How old are you? So we're both adults. Right?
I
I mean, you can answer however you want, but feel like we're both adults.
younger than 12.
Do you want something emotional? The 4 options are I want to sob. Sure, some emotional moments are important. I'm all right with some emotion, but I don't really want to get upset. Or I don't really want to get emotional.
I'm gonna go with sure. Some emotional
Oh, that's mine, though.
moments are important.
You're going to do sure, some emotional moments are important. I'll do that too. Okay. Number 4. Are you looking for something that will make you think? Yes, I want something intellectually stimulating. I want something pretty engaging. Honestly, I just want to be able to zone out and have a good time. Or I'm willing to pay close attention, but I don't want to really think about the universe. I'm going to pick zone out.
I'm gonna go with I'll pay close attention, but I don't want to think about the universe.
Got it. All right. Number 5. What's most important to you in an anime? The emotional impact, the fear factor, the ability to make me laugh, or the excitement? I'm going to go with laugh because I'm searching for a comedy.
And I'm gonna go with emotional impact.
All right. Okay. I thought I accidentally clicked the wrong one, but I didn't. Number 6. Do you want something romantic? Options are I don't mind if romance is an aspect of the show, but I don't want it to be the main focus. I'm not into romantic shows. Or yes!
The top one, please. That's
also going to be my answer.
yes.
Yes! Number 7. How long have you been watching anime? So we're going to say I'm an anime newbie. For both of us here. Anime newbie. Noobs. Number 8. Which of these TV shows do you like the best? Mr. Robot, Crash Landing on You, The Office, or Dragon Ball Z? Mine's The Office.
I mean, go ahead and put The Office on mine because.
Have you not seen Mr. Robot? Mm-mm. This is pretty good. A little weird. Number 9. What is something that will instantly make you stop watching a show? If it's too serious, gratuitous violence, lack of logic, or if it's boring?
It's between the last 2 for me. Lack of logic or if it's boring. I'm going to go with logic.
I'm going to say gratuitous violence on mine. And you're going to say lack of logic on yours. Okay, last question. Are you in the mood for something more artistic or exciting? Artistic? Exciting! Or I want an exciting plot, but I also want to see some artistic elements.
The last one, please.
Okay, I'm going to go with that too. All right, let's find out. My anime results should be... Oh, they're going to do this thing where they pretend like they're analyzing your results so you can look at ads longer. I should watch Gintama. Let's see what Gintama is. Gintama. All right. A samurai and his quirky band of friends take odd jobs in an alternate version of feudal Japan that has been conquered by aliens.
That's the comedy.
That sounds fantastic. It's got a 9 out of 10 from my anime list, a 4.8 out of 5 on Crunchyroll, and an 8.7 out of 10 on IMDb.
All right, what's mine?
That sounds great. Let me revel in mine here for a second. All right, you should watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Let's see what that is. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. This is brothers Edward and Alphonse Elric search for the Philosopher's Stone, hoping to restore their bodies, which were lost when they attempted to use their alchemy skills to resurrect their deceased mother. Edward, who lost only limbs, joins the state military, which gives him the freedom to continue the search as he tries to restore his brother, whose soul is tethered to Earth by a suit of armor. However, Edward and Alphonse are not the only ones seeking the powerful stone, and as they search, they learn of a plot to transmute the entire country for reasons they cannot comprehend. This, though, scored even better than mine. 9.1 out of 10 on IMDb, 9.1 out of 10 on my anime list, 4.9 out of 5 on Crunchyroll.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you search like something that would be kind of like that, but not that one? Because I don't think that they like really took into the whole lack of logic thing for me.
Nope, sorry, this is the one you got. That's what you got to watch at least one episode of.
Full Metal what?
Full Metal
I need
Alchemist.
to write it down.
Brotherhood.
I need
pen.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm never going to remember it. But I will watch it. One episode.
That can be our Thursday morning, the roulette first segment that we usually do.
Okay.
We'll do a recap on what we thought of these anime.
Okay. I do. So there's a lot of what it said that I like, that interests me, but the whole like lost their limbs while trying to bring back their dead mother, and the one is attached to Earth through his suit of armor. It's
freaking you out.
You'll get not logical.
Welcome back to the Back Row Morning Show. I'm Radio Matt.
And I'm Mo, and every week these 4 main segments get spread out across 4 daily morning shows on LTN Radio, and they include a lot more content, including weird news, random facts, games, challenges, rants, junk food, and more. And you can be part of all that by following us on Twitch at twitch.tv/LTN on air, so you'll be notified when we go live. You can even be a part of the show.
And make sure you catch our full morning shows every Monday through Thursday on LTNonair.com at 8 a.m. Eastern with an encore at 10. This week, we're talking about those parts of nerd culture we just don't understand. Last time we focused on the anime fandom, the otaku. Today, we're going with that classic part of nerd culture. Historically despised by the church, to the point that it is only now being accepted as essentially a harmless game. But I have never played a game like D&D before. Have you, Mo? Dungeons and Dragons?
No,
anything
never.
Of that course?
Nope. No.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Okay, I was going to say something, but then I don't know if it's anything at all like Dungeons and Dragons. So then I wasn't going to say it because I don't want to look stupid.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just leave us hanging.
Yeah.
Well,
sorry.
I found an article. It's actually like a forum post where this person kind of lays out my exact thoughts and understanding. So he says, I'm no gamer at all, so this could be like a very silly, basic question for you guys. The thing is that I always read about Dungeons and Dragons games, not the video game, but the normal game to play with friends that are actually gathered together at a table, and I would like to know how to play it. I've read that it is a book or several books, which is more confusing for me to understand, but I've read somewhere that it can be played as a normal tabletop game with a board and pieces and somewhat weird dice or sets of dice. Is it like a normal game where you pull the stuff out of the box and start to play? I don't know if anyone watches the show The Big Bang Theory, and I think that they have played the game in a recent episode, and it looks just like a regular game. I've Googled it for more information, but I haven't found anything as basic as I need because I've never played a role-playing game except in video games. I just want to learn how to play so I can get my friends into it and play it each time we get together. Okay? That's essentially been my thoughts.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't really understand what this is. It looks like it's a board game, but it also, like, seems like it's so much more difficult than that. So here, we'll go through a few of the answers. The first answer, the top answer, is it's much easier not to think of Dungeons and Dragons as a game. There is no winner. There is no predefined goals. There are no rules that the DM, which is the dungeon master, the person that is running the game, can't change. As if that weren't enough, there are no limits on what you can try to do during your turn, and often no defined turns at all. In order to understand the appeal of Dungeons & Dragons, I find it best to throw out all preconceived notions of it as a game and start anew. Dungeons & Dragons is an experience where you journey to another world to live the life of someone else. One person takes on the role of the dungeon master, and the other people get a much less cool name of players. Simply put, it's the dungeon master's job to create a universe with enough detail and believability that the players truly feel they are there. It's the player's job to live in that universe and make decisions that will affect what happens to them. 99.99% of the time, the players take on alternate identities called characters. Your character is your identity in the universe where the game takes place. The goal of creating a character is to describe them well enough that they seem to take on a life of their own. For example, if you can imagine how your character would react to situations like being threatened by drunkards in a bar, talking to a dragon sitting on a pile of treasure, or finding an artifact that can resurrect the dead, you've literally breathed life into them. At this point, you are ready to take on the identity to face whatever challenges might arise before them. In other words, you are ready to write their story. D&D is an open-ended game. You could be spying on the enemy while posing as one of their soldiers, leading a revolution against a corrupt king, escaping from a dungeon where you were wrongly imprisoned, or rescuing a farmer's daughter from a vampire's mansion. If you can imagine it, it can happen. It's the dungeon master's job to immerse you in the fantasy world and tell you the results of your actions, so there's no limit to what you can attempt to do. The DM might have to think a while after you tickle a sleeping werewolf, or tell you that you failed to pick the dungeon lock with the dagger you always keep in your boot, but that doesn't stop you from doing it. So he gives you a quick sample situation. The DM says, you are alone in a forest, surrounded by trees that appear to be hundreds of years old. Many beams of light shine through the canopy onto moss still covered with tiny droplets from the recent rain. Birds are singing overhead, but you only manage to see them when they fly from one branch to another. The power of nature permeates this peaceful sanctuary, unconcerned with the passage of time. As you were admiring the scene, an arrow breaks you out of your reverie as it thuds into a tree a few feet from your head. As you turn around, you see a young but stout-looking elf staring at you with another arrow ready set to his bow. Why do you trespass upon Llanowar territory? We don't take kindly to strangers, and unless you can tell me your business here, you'd better get a head start in your race with my next arrow, he says, with his eyes trained on you like a cat's on a mouse. Now, if I've done my job properly, at least a tiny part of you feels like you are actually standing in a forest facing an unyielding elf. Here comes your part. What do? Tell the elf you were lost and plead his forgiveness? Strike him down with a bolt of lightning for his impudence? Say you will leave peacefully if you are permitted to ask a few questions about your brother who went missing 4 days ago. It's all possible, and what happens next is entirely up to you. So, what's with all the dice then? Technically, I've been describing a class of games called role-playing games, of which D&D is the most well-known. Almost all role-playing games follow the basic structure I've just described, but they vary greatly in setting and rules used to resolve your actions. Games can happen in the Star Wars universe, in World War II, the Cthulhu mythos, you name it. Each game usually has one book for the rules and several others that cover the setting and material used in adventures. For this post, I'll give you a whirlwind tour of the basic D&D rules. So you have skill, which is your strength, and basically all your different kinds of like character, level of character, determine, what your skill levels are. But essentially you have these different dice to roll to see, they're essentially used to see if you are successful in whatever you're trying to do. So, it's based on the difficulty of the task. So if you're going to use the simple die, there's only either the 4 die or the 6 die or whatever, you can throw a pillow across the room. And said, okay, you get a high number, you successfully do that. But if you're going to try and save somebody or do something that's very difficult, you'll be rolling the 20 die, the D20, and you got to get a high number in that in order to be successful. Use all of them interchangeably or sometimes all at once, leaping across a 30-foot chasm, shooting an arrow into the air, hoping that it lands directly on the head of some king or something, or dragon or anything like that. Any action that you do, you roll these dice to see if you're successful.
Okay.
And then that's essentially it. You tell a story. And so what I gather from this is that it's largely essentially a fantasy novel that the Dungeon Master is writing. Because as he read out, like in that example, he read out this whole scenario. Mm-hmm. The Dungeon Master had to have that prepared.
Right.
Those books might be there to help guide you, but again, like I said, you can do whatever you want in the game, and the Dungeon Master has to kind of react and build the game around that. Mm-hmm. And I find that much more difficult than just picking a game. Yeah. But also, it sounds incredibly fun.
It sounds very difficult.
Yeah, but this would have to be something you sat down days in advance, mm-hmm. planning out mm-hmm. and mapping out. And we kind of see, did you ever watch Community, the TV show? So in Community, they had a couple episodes based around this, where the first episode was, there was a character called Fat Neil. And he was depressed and considering taking his own life, it was a whole story. And they're like, we gotta like show him that we care about him. Like, what's something that he loves? Well, he loves Dungeons and Dragons. Like, let's play Dungeons and Dragons. And so all of them have never played this before. They build their own thing, and then the extra nerdy kid, Abed, is the Dungeon Master, and he goes all out, builds this huge thing. It's a binder full of notes for his story. He's prepared for any eventuality. And it's like, how... You got to be really creative.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to step out of those books. Like I said, you could do this in the Star Wars universe.
Uh-huh.
Or, you're going to build something out of another franchise. Mm-mm. And be ready for pretty much any eventuality.
It makes my head hurt just and thinking about it.
Add to that, the characters that are playing are only their characters. The Dungeon Master is every other character that they run into. So you are acting out every villain, you're acting out every bad guy, every tavern person, every, non-important villager that you have to get a piece of information from. Like, you're everybody. And so it's almost like This is your acting debut as the Dungeon Master. Which really makes, like, they have games like this on YouTube where they'll play a full game on the Dungeons and Dragons channel. On I think College Humor had one for a while where they ran it in weird scenarios, like they did it like at a high school. That was the game. Like they're trying to get through high school. But being the Dungeon Master seems to be a huge responsibility.
Yeah. So for somebody who I like to think that I'm creative, but I'm not creative. I'm not quickly creative.
You're not instantly creative.
Yeah.
You have to build your creations over time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do not think that I could ever be Dungeon Master. Ever. Never. On top of that, for somebody who, like, whenever I learn how to play a game for the first time and people are reading the instructions or the directions, I'm always the one that's like, okay, we just have to play around. I just have to do it to see how it's done, because reading all of this is not going to make any sense to me. I'm much more of a hands-on learner.
Yeah.
And as far as I can tell, Dungeons and Dragons is not the kind of game that you hands-on learn. It's the kind of game that you need to know.
Well, I would say that's true for the Dungeon Master role, but I bet that you could just jump in on what's called a one-shot, where it's just one game. It's not a long campaign. It's going to take multiple times. One 3 or 4 hour game, and be a noob and just kind of learn as you go.
Maybe.
That's something that Love Thy Nerd is trying to do. In fact, this coming Saturday, they're having an arcade day online that is just all Dungeons and Dragons games. And they're hoping this will be a monthly thing, with the idea that eventually every time they'd have at least one that's a one-shot for noobs who can just come and join.
Yeah.
Which is something I'm interested in doing.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool. Again, going back to the community episodes, the second one that they did, they had the group split up into 2 different rooms, and part of the story was them trying to find each other in this vast, thing. And they had one way they could do it, and one team, like two members, had 2 parts of a sword that if they had been cleaning at the same time, it would shoot a ray of light out and they would meet and show where each other were. But only one of them knew this. And so his goal was to write a note on a piece of paper, put it on a carrier pigeon, and hope that carrier pigeon finds the other guy. And the Dungeon Master said, that's a very unlikely thing. You're going to have to get a 20. And so he would send out a thing. He'd come out and roll the dice. It wouldn't get a 20. He'd throw it in the trash. And they just do that over and over and over again until finally it happened. And then it was even for me watching this comedy, goofy thing that's almost kind of, making fun of the game.
Yeah.
When he rolled the 20, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And then suddenly a ray of light shoots out of you. That's so cool. And it made me really want to play. And I've just been so intimidated by the vastness of what this game is to even get there. But this is the year it's going to happen. I'm going to do it. There's going to be a one shot that happens. I'm going to play. A lot of our friends that watch us on Twitch or play with us on the Discord are a part of a weekly thing that they do that Silver leads, or Silver and Rogar lead. And I'm like, that's cool. KY is one of them, I think. No, KY watches. KY watches and then does some art based on some of the scenes. But it seems really fun. And so I'm going to get into it. But let's, just like yesterday, let's take a quiz. I want to do a quiz that says what kind of character we are in D&D. Okay? So here's the first question. Dragons and evildoers better beware. Your most dangerous attribute is your charm, cunning, intellect, physical strength, intensity, or wisdom?
Intensity.
You're intense. I am going to say wisdom. Because I'm very wisdomous. In selecting your dinner, you'd want a meal that is vegan or lacto-vegetarian. Meat with a side of more meat. Meal I often forget to eat while I'm lost in some project or another. Or something tasty with a side of good company.
That sounds terrible. Meal I often forget to eat while I'm lost in some project.
Really? I will do meat with more meat. Number 3, your spirit animal is the fox, the bear, the dolphin, the owl, or the lion.
I hate questions like this. I don't know. Pick for me.
Dolphin.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I heard the D come out of your mouth, so I'm like, yeah, she's going to pick dolphin. Bear. I'm going to pick bear. Your next ideal vacation includes luxury you didn't have to pay for.
Check.
Camping somewhere beautiful.
Sure.
Tours of historically significant sites. A service opportunity.
Nuh-uh. Vacation. Vacation.
An extreme adventure. Or some sort of theater or musical festival.
I have to pick one?
One.
Okay. Luxury I didn't have to pay for.
I will pick musical festival. All right. Question 5. Your exercise regimen involves dance or acrobatics, the most challenging workouts you can find, hiking or cross-country skiing while your way through nature, bicep curls as you raise your mug of coffee to your lips.
There you go.
I guess I'm the same. Though I don't like coffee all that much. Your perfect Saturday includes a concert or other live act, college football game, scavenger hunt or other contest, morning meditation, strength training workout, or session at the library or lab.
College football.
This is a hard one. Did I not?
No, you didn't.
Okay. I guess I'll do morning meditation. All right. 7. Your career, current or future, lies in which arena? Business, social work, or the legal system? Fitness or environmental work? Academia or public relations?
Academia, right?
Academia for you, yeah. I think the closest to mine might be public relations. Not really social work or the legal system. Yeah, I'll say PR. All right, number 8. When you play Dungeons and Dragons, you get a charge out of defeating evil or good. We're not here to judge. In real life, you love the adrenaline rush that accompanies getting away with something, performing, winning, an amazing mountaintop view, or an intellectual discovery.
Performing.
I would say that except for the fact that it's got the mountaintop view on it, because that really, I get hyped when I see a beautiful mountaintop view or ocean view
You
or
have
any of
to
these.
go to the mountaintop to see a mountaintop view.
Hey, we got trams. We got the Sandia Peak Tramway up there.
I'm just saying you don't like being...
I don't want to climb it, but
Okay.
I want to get to the top as long as it's well fenced in.
See?
All right, back in high school, you were voted most likely to succeed or most likely to change the world. I guess, which one were you most likely to be voted
Not
most likely?
succeed. Everybody thought I was gonna fail.
I will say succeed on mine. All right. Your friends would describe you as a spiritual person, a fun person, a beast in a good way, mostly, a clever person, or a driven person?
A beast in a good way, mostly.
Like, there's 2 qualifiers to this.
There's 2 qualifiers to me, always.
I would say a fun person. Is that accurate? Am I a fun person?
Yeah,
Okay.
but also clever, fairly driven,
Which would you say?
fun.
Fun?
Just go with fun.
Okay. All right, Mo, let's find out what you are. You are a paladin. You can't. Oh, stupid pop-ups. You're a paladin. You can't help it. You're lawful good to the bone and will protect someone from evil, even if you get nothing back in return. Nothing can corrupt your character, and any friend you count on, any friend can count on you to have their back. Just be careful to not let others use you.
Okay. Kind of sounds like real life.
And I am a bard. You're the one who makes events shine brighter just by your presence. And no party has ever truly begun until you've arrived. You love to see live entertainment and to tell stories about your exciting life. People like you, but that doesn't mean you can't kick butt when needed. You're more than capable of slaying dragons, real or metaphorical. I feel like this is a trumped up version of what I could be.
All right.
But close enough for me. I think bard, a musical-esque character, seems about accurate.
Bard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right.
I had a cold chill.
All right. Well, that's all for today.
That usually means I'm sensing a lie of some sort. I'm just kidding.
If we play Dungeons and Dragons, we will use these characters. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Why not?
That's it. Welcome back to the Back Row Morning Show. I'm Radio Matt.
And I'm Mo. There's a lot going on in our Discord, backrowdiscord.com, where you get to chat after the show, share your own show ideas, keep up to date with our Twitch and YouTube, be a part of our radio shows, and also see the behind-the-scenes workings of Back Row Games, including Sunday School Answers. Again, go to backrowdiscord.com to join.
This week, we're talking about parts of nerd culture we just don't understand. Last time, we talked about Dungeons and Dragons. Today, we're taking a look at perhaps one of the most misunderstood portions of nerd culture out there. Furries.
Why'd you say it like that?
It's hard not to. Mo, what do you know about furries? Or what have you heard about them?
I know that... Oh, sorry.
Ooh.
That was a pen on our table. I know... I think kind of... You know how, like, we had the goth group of kids when we were in high school? Mm-hmm. And then the generation after us had more of, like, the emo. Mm-hmm. It changed... This is like the new group of misunderstood, but they're only misunderstood because they are not explaining kids, if you will. I don't want to sound like rude,
Right.
in any way. It appears that they take on some sort of animal costume.
Yeah.
And are always wearing ears or a tail or something of the sorts.
Yeah.
That is what I know.
Yeah. The thing that I've heard most about the furry community, more than anything else, is mainly that it's a sexual thing.
I have not heard that, but okay.
The first time I ever heard of the furry community was an episode of CSI. Where there was a murder that had occurred at a furry convention, and it was literally framed as the only reason these people got together was to have a big group encounter.
Gathering, yeah.
That immediately framed this community in my mind and has always been in the back of my mind when I hear about them, as this is just another kind of deviancy.
Okay.
And it wasn't until we joined LTN and I saw a couple articles about furries on the website that I was kind of taken aback and realized that there must be much more to them than I realized. So I have a Reddit post here where someone is basically asking the same question. I don't really understand furries. Can someone explain them to me? Furries get hate all the time, but why? I'm not a furry. I'm just confused about the culture. So the first answer kind of answered my question. It says, the main reason people always seem constantly annoyed with furries is the fandom's strong sexual connotations. It's not really an unfair association because there is a lot of that in the fandom, but there's a lot more to the fandom than that. Even if that sexual association didn't exist, people would still get annoyed by furries just because a lot of furries tend to be loud about their fandom. That being said, there's been a lot more acceptance than in the past. But here's, where's this answer? All right. So I think that the wider culture of furries often is associated with the more fringe elements of the culture, which contains less socially acceptable elements. I feel that the furry community as an overall culture are very open and accepting of others and thrive on positive values. And that includes, that inclusive spirit is often used to justify lumping the majority of the furry community into the fringe elements of the culture. Most furries are very open and positive about major issues within the fandom, which again leads to that ability for outsiders to paint the group with a broad brush and generalize what all furries find acceptable. It's easy for somebody outside the furry culture or with little insight into the culture to lump everybody together, when in fact the furry community is incredibly varied and diverse. It is full of subgroups and different ways people choose to categorize themselves, all united under a few simple ideals. The uniting piece of the overall culture is a deep appreciation for animals and creatures of the natural world. Anthropomorphism, that is, animals with human traits or qualities, and a love of creativity and art. Some furries just enjoy the art, but aren't involved in the wider fandom beyond that. Some furries make fursuits and cosplay as characters that they enjoy. It's not really any different than any other large fandom. The only real difference is that the fandom isn't united by a single franchise or film or any one piece of media. It's a community that is self-generating content without outside media reliance, though it embraces media that is consistent with its values, such as like Zootopia would be or any of these kind of movies where animals are kind of humanized. So it's not really a culture. They don't really consider themselves a culture. They consider it a fandom for human-like animals. Let's see here. So yeah, I think most people who think about the furry community do tend to think about full fur suits, almost like mascots, like getting together.
Yeah.
And in reality, like you said, it's often just, like ear headbands.
Yeah.
Or something of that nature. Just a tiny little nod to the fact that they consider themselves to have some sort of animalistic tendency to them. That they connect with animals on a different level. The sexual nature of it, which again I think was blown up a lot, especially in the 2000s when like word of these communities started getting out. I think that is largely due to the fact that that's how it was portrayed on TV shows like CSI. At the time, CSI was like one of the #1 shows.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of people first learned about this community at all. But the way that was presented was exactly that. They were all in full, like, mascot costumes. And the only reason they were really there, like there were different things they were doing at the convention, but eventually everybody was going to this get together. To get together. And I think it's hard to overcome that kind of negative stereotype. There's another community that's similar, but in some ways, and then different in others, and that's the bronies. Now, Bronies is a fandom that is focused on My Little Pony, the TV show version, and their love of that. And it started as like guys who were into the show, but that term has now kind of been widened to basically anybody who's into that show. Like that's their fandom. But in the same manner, there is a small portion of that fandom that take it in a sexual direction, and that paints the entire fandom as some sort of deviant culture, which is unfair.
Yeah.
Because just like any fandom and any culture, there's always a small portion of that group that is getting into the deviant kind of sexual side of
Right.
things. Like there's a whole, there's an internet rule called Rule 34 that I don't want you to Google it. Please don't Google it. But it essentially means that if it exists, there's going to be pornography of it. And so you will find pornography of every cartoon and every movie and everything on the internet if you look for it. And essentially that means there is no escaping the small group of people in any fandom that is going to be living on that fringe edge of the community. And it's not fair to paint them with that broad brush of everybody who is in this community is a part of that small faction. And I think that it's the furry community has experienced this on a bigger level than probably any of the others that I've seen. I think this actually sometimes applies to at the anime community too, because there's a whole culture of pornographic anime out there, which is part of it.
Yeah.
It's hard to escape that kind of stuff. But I think, again, I don't want to point the finger squarely at churches or anything, but I think it comes from people who just misunderstand it from the outside, and they first hear that. Like that's their first experience of it, is that they see this exists.
Right.
With anime culture, like we didn't talk about this on Tuesday, but I had the same kind of experience with anime culture as I did with the furry culture. And that the first time I ever saw anything anime related, it was videos in the local FYE that were in like the adult little section there. And there's a whole big section of X-rated anime stuff. And I'm like, okay, this is what this is.
Yep.
And that's what I thought it was until I realized, no, okay, hold on, wait. Pokemon has a series, and that's anime. And there's Dragon Ball Z and all these other things that are on, Cartoon Network that all count.
Yeah.
Digimon, all Yu-Gi-Oh, all these things. And so I think I hate that they have to contend with that kind of stereotype, especially because it does appear that this culture is searching for their identity.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, that can happen in a lot of fandoms and subcultures, but this one specifically is really about, their personhood, and they're trying to find who they are, and they kind of get that inspiration from animal culture. And while I don't really understand having that connection with animals, like I can see how you could get there based on how we can have connection with Jedi, or anything else that are in these different fandoms.
Yeah.
Like you can find those connections and then cling on to them. Right?
Yeah. For me, it's honestly, I can see, I don't know. I think that it is more easy for me to see a connection to an animal than a fictional character.
Yeah.
Much more.
Okay.
I don't know. And I don't know. I know that we talk about it at some point, but the television show Grimm, It's about the two brothers who... It's based off of Brothers Grimm. Mm-hmm. So fairy tales, but the darker side of fairy tales. And in the television show Grimm, there are people who are... They have kind of like a split personality where they are animal.
Okay.
And so they can kind of, I can't remember what it's, vogue. It's called voguing. They vogue into their animal creature.
Okay.
And so that television show is something that Chris and I both really enjoyed watching it. And it was mostly because I can see the appeal, I don't want to say relate to it, but I can see how our similarities between human qualities and animal qualities can kind of, in a lot of ways, mimic each other.
Okay.
So, for me, I could probably see myself being a furry far more than I could be something else in nerd culture.
Do you remember the book series Animorphs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what's coming to my mind now.
Yeah.
Is I remember all those book covers, of a human morphing into a gecko or whatever else.
Yep.
Yeah, I get that. So, in that wise, then, we've been taking quizzes every day.
We're going to take another quiz.
Let's take a quiz to see what our fursona would be.
Didn't anybody ever tell you that nobody likes quizzes? Especially pop quizzes. And that's essentially what this is.
This
it's
is
a
a
pop quiz.
about your own personality, Mo.
Nobody likes doing pop quizzes, Matt.
So first off, would you consider yourself to be feminine, masculine, neutral, or you don't know?
Feminine.
Really? That's what you're going to go with?
Yeah. Deal. What are you going with?
I don't know.
Okay.
No, masculine. Number 2, do you consider yourself to be an introvert or an extrovert?
Oh, I hate this question.
Introvert, extrovert, middle ground, or it depends on the situation?
Extrovert.
Extrovert. I'm going to say it depends on the situation. While I am typically an introvert, in some situations, I find myself more extroverted. So since that option's there, I'm going to use it.
Okay.
How often do you greet or act? That's weirdly. How often do you greet or act around new people? Let's just see what the answers are. Aggressive and defensive until they seem cool enough to keep talking to. Very quiet. I might not even reply when they talk to me. Confident, smiling, and polite. Confident, laughing, and joking around. Slightly defensive, but still be nice to them until I know them better. Or shy and quiet, and I'll be as polite as I can.
I guess confident, smiling, and polite.
Okay. I'm going to choose... slightly defensive. All right. How often do you get out of the house? Every day and night? Almost every day and night. About 50-50. A few times each week. A few times a month. Maybe once or twice a year.
Jeez. Almost every day and night.
Are you a hermit?
Right?
Yeah, for me too. If it wasn't for church, though, it'd be less. Mm-hmm. How many friends would you say you have? 50 plus? 20 to 49? 10 to 19? 7 to 9? 4 to 6? 2 to 3? 1, 0.
0.
Mo is unloved.
7 to 9.
You only have 7 to 9 friends?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. My circle has got a lot smaller.
So much stronger than me in this.
No.
I'm going to say 4 to 6. No, I'll say 7 to 9. I'm lumping couples together when I shouldn't do that. Those are 2 separate friends right there.
But are they?
What's your opinion on food, Mo? Would you marry food if you could? Do you think food is amazing, but it hurts when you eat too much? Do you love food, but you know to be careful and not eat too much? Do you love food, but know to be careful about what you eat and how much of it? Do you know that food's okay? Need it to live, I guess. Or does food burn your insides?
I mean, some food does burn my insides.
Yeah, Taco Bell Mexican pizza takes it out of you.
Listen, I'm actually feeling it again, so.
Round 2.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm stuck between I love food, but I know to be careful and not eat too much, and food is amazing, but it hurts when I eat too much. Food is amazing.
Food is amazing, but it hurts when I eat too much. I would marry food if I could. All right. Do you collect anything? Collect anything, huh? No. Do books count? Comics and manga, maybe some models of anime characters, models and statues of monsters, dragons, or animals, game cards, various animal bones, live pet insects. Time I found an owl pellet. That was awesome.
Books. Do books count?
Do books count? Did I click that? Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of comics, so I guess I'll put that one.
No, the models and statues.
But it says models and statues of monsters, dragons, or animals. Okay. I think that's specific to like that kind of thing.
That's true, I guess.
All right. How are you with technology? Do you like it? Are you good at handling it? I hate all that stuff. I leave it to other people. I can manage it, but I sometimes have to ask for help for things. Pretty much average, I think. I know how to use everything I use, but I can't do anything complex. I'm pretty interested in the idea of hacking and learning some more complex computer talk, or I know a lot. Some might call me a nerd, but I bet they'd be jealous if they knew what I could do.
Pretty much average, I think.
All right. I guess I'm the last one, though that answer sounds kind of pretentious. All right. What are your?
They knew what I could do.
What are your religious views? I believe in God and follow his teachings. I believe in God, but I don't go to a place of worship, and I try my best to follow his teachings. There's probably a God, but I'm more open-minded about the idea. My mind is open to anything. I don't believe in God. I believe in something else, or I'm an atheist.
I believe in God and follow his teachings.
Zing! Me too. I didn't even need to read all that. What's your favorite color out of these options? And there's a lot of them. Just tell me your favorite color. Light blue. Okay. Mine is yeller. Yeller. Last question. One of your family members is in trouble. How would you help them? That's none of my business. I'll try my best to sort out their issue. I don't know exactly. We both will ask for help from others. Who cares? I will talk to them and listen to their issues first, or I'll sort out their problem.
I'll talk to them and listen to their issues.
All right. I think that's none of my business.
I don't know exactly. That's what you...
Yeah, it's probably what I would say. Okay, let's find out. Wait, that's not what... View my results.
There you go.
View my results. Why aren't I viewing my results? View them. I got a bear. From your options that you picked, it can be said that the animal which suits your persona is the bear. You're attentive, fearful, and playful at times. You act according to the situation.
So
yours won't give you an answer.
Did you not answer?
Huh? What? What?
I don't know. Did you not answer all of the questions?
They all said I answered them all.
Sheesh.
And I went to click it, and it won't click it. I need to know what you are. Okay, we have answered all the questions again, and here we go. Your results, you're a goose. From the options
disagree.
From the options you picked, it can be said that the animal which suits your persona is the geese.
I disagree.
You are very loyal and protective.
I mean, geese are terrifying.
I could definitely dress up as a bear at a furry convention.
Geese are...
Being a goose would be difficult.
What the heck am I going to do? Feathers and a beak?
Grow a fat butt and a long neck. That's what you got to do. Do you have either of those? I did not expect that. That's funny. Oh, man. Okay. Well, I mean,
I don't like that one. That was my least favorite. I've got to go back and re-answer questions differently.
you're not allowed to do that. People do that on the internet for all these, like, what Disney princess are you, or what superhero are you, or whatever. Like, well, I'm going to just go back and change all my answers until I get Iron Man.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like,
If it lets you do it, it's not cheating.
Can't do that. That's the Back to the Back Row Morning Show. I'm Radio Matt.
And I'm Mo. And Matt and I have been doing this for years, quickly approaching our 500th morning show. You can catch roughly the last 150 episodes in the podcast feed, but you can do a deeper dive into our archives and catch nearly every single episode ever in our Discord. Join us at backrowdiscord.com and visit our podcast archives channel. Up in here.
All right, that might be everybody who's going to chat.
Lose my mind.
I am night fishing. Throwing
Night fishing?
Some cheapo horse mackerel back and
Garbage. I hate getting horse mackerel.
I know, man. It stinks.
What a
Are you for
waste
real
of
night
time.
fishing right now?
In Animal Crossing.
Oh.
I am playing Animal Crossing, and yes, I'm
Yeah,
night fishing.
nerd.
It counts. And if you want to talk about why you don't understand it, then just wait a minute.
Oh, gosh. That's
Man. I was like, I was really impressed.
You're really out on the lake and you're still
really
watching
night
us?
fishing? My gosh.
Fun fact, I have never been fishing in my whole life.
It's not that great.
So here's
Other than crawdads in the creek with my bare hands.
Crawdads in the crick.
Wait, I've catfished before. Does that count?
Yeah.
Who did you catfish?
Hey, I've done that too, never mind.
Oh.
Okay, so I've only gone fishing once, and that was when I was like 6, and my dad took me. Here we go back to my dad again. And he said I could never go with him again because I wouldn't stop talking.
That's so you.
I know. That's when I can go, well, look at me now, Dad. 30 years and nothing's changed. But people actually want to listen to me.
People rearrange their schedules to listen to you.
That's right. People go night fishing and still listen to me. Oh, I have dad issues.
All right. I think we got artsy designs in here. So this week, Mo and I have been sharing with you some of the areas of nerd culture that we just don't understand, and we've attempted to get more knowledgeable about them. Today, we are welcoming some of our Discord buds to share some parts of nerd culture that they struggle to understand and would, at least kind of like to learn more about it. We might not actually get to that point today, but it's important to acknowledge that, not all nerds are the same flavor of nerd, and that's okay. But it's also important to be open-minded and, be willing to learn and not just write people off as weirdos or something like that. So, do we all understand the rules?
Yeah.
Be kind.
You want
Look,
just
that's what my
one,
shirt
or
says.
Can we have multiple?
Yeah, you can have multiple.
Okay,
So
cool.
we've got Tad, we've got KY, and for the first time, we've got Art C in our chat today. How are y'all three doing today?
Fabulous.
Somebody say bad?
I think not bad.
Oh, not bad. Okay. Okay, we're not having our discussion anymore. We're gonna talk.
Let's rally around. Yeah. Why are you sad?
Why are you sad? What's wrong?
Okay. So, Tad, you seem to be jumping at the bit. You have things to share, so share with me.
Yeah, sure.
Some nerdy culture things.
Jumpin' Tad.
Jump in, Tad. Night fishing. So, I love playing soccer, but I don't understand sport nerds. So, like football or anything like that, like
Okay.
they start rattling off like athletes and their statistics and stuff, and my eyes just glaze over. Like, I think it's really cool that you're super into that. And like, I kind of get it because I really like League of Legends, and I like pro players in League of Legends. So I can kind of rattle off pro player stats, but not the extent like they do. And I did fantasy football last year, and holy cow, I tried to be part of those conversations, and I mad lost on fantasy football.
Yeah, jumping into fantasy football when you're not a sports nerd is like jumping into a foreign country that you don't speak the language.
I honestly
speak
think jumping
Canadian.
into a foreign country where you don't speak the language, is easier than jumping into fantasy football when you don't have a mind for statistics. Because I love football. I love football, but I do not have a mind for statistics. Whereas Topher, one of the things that I both love and kind of despise about my kid is he has like a Rain Man mind almost. He can remember all the players and the years and the this and the that and the blah, 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 to where it's not fun to watch football with him. Because he's looking at it like a math problem.
I didn't come here to learn,
Yeah.
Poindexter.
But he's already got the game all figured out and who's going to win and how it's going to happen and how they're going to win because he knows all the statistics of everything.
Yeah.
So I finally got to the point with my fantasy football league last year, fantasy football team, and I was like, you now have two teams. You get to play my team and your team because I'm not going up against you anymore.
Yeah, what I really appreciated about playing fantasy football is getting to know the teams and like, oh wow, these guys didn't do well last year, but they are doing really well this year, and I was able to make new connections with people and share Jesus with those people because I was making those football connections, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's
awesome.
one of my three.
Alrighty.
What are your three?
All right. Well, we'll go in a round here. KY, do you have one for us?
Okay, so I do, sort of, and I'm super sad Brother Mod's not here because I know he would sigh heavily at me. But so Final Fantasy is mine, and so on the surface, like just the name alone, I'm like, oh, that should totally be my thing. I love fantasy novels. All my kids are named after fantasy. I love all sorts of fantasy stuff. And and I do enjoy video games. Obviously, I'm playing one right now. And so, but every time I watch people play it, like streamers and stuff, like Frost and, anyone who tries to play Final Fantasy, it's so overwhelming. Like, it's so overwhelming. And this may just be my ADHD. I don't know. But it's like, I want it to be adventure-y because of the name Final Fantasy. And I love Legend of Zelda. So I think that's kind of what I expected it to be like. But every time I've ever watched somebody play it, it's like they're in this giant battle, but there's like 16 different battles going on around them that are other people that they're not fighting against or with. And then they're like charging up spells and they're using weapons, but then it's like having to keep track of a bunch of different things, but they're just fighting all the time. And then sometimes they run around a little bit and then it's just fighting all the time. And so I don't know if I've just caught it at the wrong point in the game every single time I've tried to watch somebody play it, and that's not the whole game, but it's very overwhelming and I don't see a lot of like what I expected. So but the people who love it are people where I'm like, oh, I would think I would like that thing that they like, but I have not been able to connect with it.
See, I'm like that with pretty much all of fantasy like stuff, whether it be video games or movies or books or anything. I can't get into it. Anything with dragons or, medieval-esque or magic and stuff like this, I don't understand the appeal. I've never been drawn in by this stuff. So like that extends to like Legend of Zelda. Everybody I know loves Legend of Zelda. I have owned 3 or 4 different Legend of Zelda games. I have played them all total maybe 4 hours. I cannot get into it enough to where I care about this genre. I think the only thing that I even kind of liked in this genre was the Chronicles of Narnia books and a couple of the movies. But even then, it was kind of like a one and done thing. Like, those were good. I'm never going to read them again. And like, I do not like Lord of the Rings. I know I'm wrong for that. I just don't. Mo hates that I don't like Lord of the Rings. Everybody I know hates that I don't like Lord of the Rings. Harry Potter, another thing, just can't. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I think, and I feel the same way. I do like Chronicles of Narnia. I do like Lord of the Rings. I love Lord of the Rings. I love The Hobbit. Anyway, but when it comes to like playing a fantasy game, I think it's different than watching a fantasy movie or reading a fantasy series, because everything in me, like instinctually, I want it to make sense. And in fantasy, things don't make sense. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, things that look like what they look like in real life don't do what they do in real life. And so I have to like retrain my brain that, oh, okay, this isn't a horse, or this isn't, anyway, it doesn't make sense. And so I can't retrain my brain to process that it's a fantasy game.
Yeah. All right. Let's give Art C the floor here. Art C, is there something in nerd culture that you just struggle to understand?
For me, it's the Pops figures. I don't understand it. It looks so ugly.
Oh,
That's awesome.
Oh,
shots fired.
That's in my heart right there.
You're allowed to say that. It's okay.
Fired.
I just don't get it. I mean, there's the one that make them look like faces. I just don't like it. But if it's like a mask or something, I mean, those are cool. I mean, I have the Boba Fett one.
So you just don't like the chibi face that they use,
exactly.
Essentially. So as long as they can obscure that, it's okay. But you don't like that it's stuck in that design. I get it. I've actually had that conversation with quite a few people that just don't like the chibi style that they've chosen. I mean, I have a lot of them, so I obviously really like them. But
that's an understatement.
I get it.
You do?
I get that there are going to be people out there. See, this is how people get. This is why we're having this conversation. This is how people.
My heart hurts. My heart legitimately hurts right
Star
now.
Ranger, thank you for that follow. But this is the reason. Nerd culture, in general, we all want to be supportive of each other and that everybody likes everything. But it's gonna come up that there are things that someone really loves. And has a whole lot of devotion to, and you just don't like it, and you don't want to be offensive, but even just to some people, just saying you don't like it, it evokes an emotional response, just like we are feeling right now. And that's nothing on Art C or anything like that, because there's quite a few people that don't see the appeal. But I will say, even just bouncing off of that, I don't understand the people that collect Pops and keep them all in the boxes. Like, you're buying toys. Let them out of the box.
You say it a little bit louder for the people in the back. Say it louder for the people in the back.
Tad, what's your next one?
People who are really into sitcoms, specifically The Office.
Get the heck out!
I'm
sorry.
Hold on. You guys are always in a perpetual inside joke, and it drives me nuts.
The pretzel joke? Is that what you said?
No, you guys are in a perpetual inside joke.
Listen, we're not saying that you can't come into the inside. You just got to watch the show.
Yeah, I have to catch up and watch something that I don't like. Thank you so much.
Well,
it is such a niche group, and like, if you don't get it, you're never going to get it. Yeah. And it's like, it's not okay that you don't get it, and if you voice that you don't get it, then you are just a heathen. And I'm like,
I love inside jokes. Hope to be a part of one someday.
He hasn't seen that show. That's what we're talking about.
Exactly. So I love you guys.
So you've never enjoyed sitcoms, huh?
I've enjoyed third
Rock from the Sun.
Yeah, Third Rock from
That's
the
a good
Sun,
one,
Big
yeah.
Bang Theory.
Ugh.
Oh
and
no.
let's see, Home Improvement. Those were the
Oh
ones.
yeah. Okay. See, I like you again. Home Improvement is the goat, man. That's a fantastic
Yes.
show.
Yeah.
So, like, I like some sitcoms, but the really popular ones, like Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec is
and-
good. It's good.
Yeah, I never get into those because it's just not my humor. But then everyone shares the humor in it, and it's like I can't follow.
Okay, but here's the thing, Tad. I am not an Office fan. Everybody in my life is an Office fan. Everybody. They all love it, think it's hysterical. Every time that anybody quotes it, I'm like, ugh. Awful. But Parks and Rec is a totally different type of humor than The Office.
Not.
It
totally.
really is. It really is.
Partially different.
I cannot handle The Office. I have a line, and The Office crosses that line for me every single time. Parks and Rec, money please.
That didn't happen until the end.
Oh, I
that
love
stuff.
it. I love it.
Yeah,
Mo.
like Friends, because Friends has become a few memes, and so has Office. So the Friends ones, I kind of get to understand more than the Office ones, just because Office, it's so like out of the blue or out of left field, where the humor comes from. But like Friends, pivot, like you get it.
Yeah.
There's something connected to
Everybody
it. And
needs
there's
to
a
pivot.
couch, and you're like, oh, I get it. I can look
own
at the
the couch.
picture and go, I get what's happening here.
But you've never worked in an office, but you've owned a couch.
Because
Basically
The
what you're
Office
saying.
is not a realistic office environment. There is nothing realistic about The Office.
I feel like it was the most realistic
the
of
last
any
time you worked
version
in
of
an
The
office?
on TV. Every day that I've worked in an office, it was exactly like The Office.
You're about to knock over
Almost knocked our whole. Almost flipped the table. So angry. KY, do you have another one?
I do. The other one I was going to say is Big Bang Theory.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm with you.
Oh, okay.
okay.
So
Honestly,
we
it's
have
okay.
tried watching it several times,
Same.
and maybe it's just because we couldn't get past the first few episodes. But it felt every time we tried, even years apart, it felt like it was written making fun of nerds and not by nerds making fun of nerds, if that makes sense. And so we could not get past that. And again, I totally understand you need to watch more to get it, because we are Office fans and Parks and Rec fans, and you have to get past the first season and kind of forget like the last couple with The Office to really fully enjoy it. And
Hey, the last couple had a few endearing moments.
You got to get past the first season and don't watch the last couple. But
Well, that's
everything
just-
is
it's kind of-
actually
yeah,
is good.
It's kind of the
How
same
can you
with
say
Doctor
that about
Who.
a show?
It's kind of the same with Doctor Who, though. Like, you gotta just skip that first season since the reboot, and these last couple seasons you don't really need to watch. But the ones
No,
in
you
the
can
middle are
watch
really
the first
good.
season though of Doctor Who.
That would
Of
be
the
my.
A lot of people can't.
That was like the one thing that I could think of that I didn't understand was Doctor Who.
Yeah,
That's
fair.
I
Yeah.
love
oh,
Doctor
we can
Who.
have a conversation sometime if you want, Mo.
okay.
She's had it many times with me.
Because
11th hour. Guys, Mo needs to start 11th hour.
So Doctor Who, I totally get, because there's so much history before the reboot, and
Yeah.
they take that history and incorporate it in. So if you're not
Till these last
like
couple
privy
seasons.
to that stuff,
They
then
cracked on
it
it.
takes a whole season for you to like, oh, Daleks.
Yeah.
I get it now. Exterminate. It's the whole thing.
Oh,
Cool.
Daleks.
I think we need to hear
think I
from
watched,
Archie.
Hold on. I think I watched like 7 seasons of Big Bang Theory. All of it kind of passively, where it's just playing in the background. And I think the only reason that I stuck with it is because it was like the only nerdy-esque show that their main comics and like superhero focus was DC Comics, which I'm a DC boy instead of a Marvel boy. And I think that's the only reason that I stuck with it.
You're a dude.
Because there were more
not a
DC
boy.
Comics references.
Okay, I do have one question. KY, did you watch Young Sheldon?
Ooh.
What?
No, why would I do that if I didn't enjoy Big Bang Theory?
Okay, so here's the thing. I do not like Big Bang Theory. I love Young Sheldon.
Why would I put myself
I
through
love
that?
Young Sheldon. And I honestly kind of think that you would too. I really do. Totally. The only correlation is that it's Sheldon.
Stop proselytizing.
There's no
Yeah.
crossover between Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon other than it's Sheldon. That's it.
All right. Art C, do you have another one?
I'm like kicking
Yeah, well,
you.
we could go back to the Pops thing about opening it and not opening it.
Oh, okay.
I don't understand why there's a big thing with action figures not being opened. They have to stay mint on
Yeah.
the card and everything.
Like, I mean, I get
never-
it. I
like
get
you
it for
said,
a few
never understood that.
specific things. Like, I understand there's some things that, yeah, this is definitely going to be worth more money in the future. And, like, even with the pop figures, like, yeah, there have been some that have been worth a ton of money, and they're worth more if they're still in the box. But yeah, for unless you're that kind of weird diehard collector that's only in it to make money, just let them breathe, man. Let them take them out, let them have fun, pose them, take pictures, do whatever you got to do.
So my fiance always says, "Let them breathe.
Yeah.
Take them out."
That's I first heard that phrase from Matt Cardona, who was Zack Ryder in WWE, but he has like a whole podcast called the Major Wrestling Figures, something like that podcast, where they have just gone out to Toys R Us's and collectors and all this, and they just buy all these stuff, and then they always open them. He's always like, let them breathe, and they rip them open right there in the store, and sometimes you see people just having like a heart attack that they're opening the packages. So I'm like, man, just have fun. Life's short. Life's too short to not play with your toys.
It's going to be harder now that Hasbro has decided to remove all plastic coverings from all figures, so they're not just going to be cards, just cardboard boxes.
Oh, really?
Yep.
How will you?
Arguably the
Like a
the
shoebox?
Star Wars.
Like, how will you see the?
It's just an image on the box now instead of actually seeing the figure.
Really?
I mean, I understand environmentally that's probably good, but what?
That seems wrong.
It does. That seems
Well,
like
here's
I was gonna say a
parallel
lot of the
universe.
argument is if you go to the store now, people can take the thing home, take the toy out of the box, put something else in it, return it to the store, and then you buy it, and there's like a Barbie doll in there or something.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. I haven't heard that. I'm gonna have to look that up. All right, Tad, you said you had one more.
Yeah. So the not
If you
to
dare.
get into a lot of it, but the furry community just
Okay.
So
we
I don't know.
We've talked about that yesterday, and yeah, that's one of the harder ones, I bet.
Yeah. Like I'm a brony, so I totally get like having a very odd thing to like and be a part of. So I totally get that aspect and like fun colors and stuff like that, but I don't know what they're about, and it's really hard to like get to know what they're all about because it's very closed as well.
Yeah, well,
Maybe not intentionally, but
we talked about in our discussion for yesterday's show, our main discussion, we talked about how it's a large part of the reason why that community is kind of misunderstood is the fact that most TV shows that have ever depicted them have depicted them in just a sexual manner. Like it's some sort of
like
weird
redheads.
Yeah. But like it's some sort of weird it's just a sex thing. And in reality it's about the percentage of people that are doing it for weird sex reasons is about the same as people doing anything on the planet for that reason. It's not any really any different. And but you are right that it is largely a closed off community. And that's kind of because a lot of the people that are in this community already have kind of issues with their own identity, and they feel like they have been heard in the past one way or another. And so they really kind of only trust themselves, which, I mean, emotionally you could understand.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with the Brony community, is like a lot of people in that community face a lot of self-confidence and self-image and can't and love the acceptance of others that love the show type of thing. And
Yeah.
so I totally get that, and having that anonymity and being able to be a character, I totally get. That's why I got into acting, like, and why I had a mask throughout, school was for those reasons. So, yeah, I'd love to get to know them more just so I can know how to like connect with them.
I do know there is at least 1 or 2 articles on lovethynerd.com. They're older articles, they're a few years old at this point, but they're pretty good at explaining kind of what the community is like. If you want to go check
Cool.
those out at lovethynerd.com, just search for that category. KY,
Under their article page.
KY or Artsy, did y'all have any more to add to it?
Just about the fantasy. I did pretty good, not really knowing too much about sports, but I kind of cheated. That's what the internet's for. And I did win my league, so.
Hey!
Yeah, I did not.
KY, what about you?
I am sure there are other things I don't understand, but it's not. I don't know. Nothing burning.
Nothing burning.
Nothing burning in my soul.
Mo,
Yeah.
do you have any more to add, Mo? I have one more.
Add yours.
Okay.
Say yours.
I don't know if this technically qualifies as nerdy or not, but I know that people nerd out about it. I mean, technically anything can be nerdy if you nerd out about it. But the group of people that are into like the slasher horror movies
Yeah,
with tons of gore and gross stuff.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't understand how you get to liking that stuff. Like it's always grossed me out. Like I have never been entertained by a movie of this caliber. I've seen a few of them. My brothers forced me to watch movies like this when I was a kid, which probably is part of the reason I don't like them. Mm-hmm. But like, I like the Scream movies because they're funny, but there's also some slightly gross stuff that I don't watch. I turn my head. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to look at this part. I mean, that's my limit already right there. But like the things that are out there, like, Human Centipede and even some of the later Saw movies and things, like, I don't get it.
No. Mm-mm.
So you're in that boat too, KY?
Oh my gosh, yes. I wasn't going to say anything because I didn't know if that for me personally would cross the judgy line. Because I can't, I'd struggle to reconcile.
Yes.
With that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people that I respect very, very deeply enjoy those things and consume them regularly.
Yeah.
And so that's, but it is something that I don't understand.
And I know that there are some...
I don't understand.
I know there are some series and movies out there of this genre that have like redeeming qualities when it comes to at least the message or whatever that they're putting into the movie. I just feel like it's too distracting from it to get it in most cases. But there's actually a plethora more that are just gore fests, has no real redeeming quality to it. And those ones I just don't understand. I don't understand who the audience is.
The fiance.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not saying that any of them are, bad. Again, we're not trying to crap on anything, but I don't know how to. That's Christians are allowed to do that ever since it happened on Hey Arnold.
Well, I think so with horror films, it's like roller coasters.
Say it or do it.
Either you hate them or you love them.
Yeah.
And it's because of that thrilling feel. Like there is a feeling of endangerment that you get from horror films, and then you get cynical about horror films afterwards.
Yeah.
So you're not about the thrill anymore, but how people are going to die. And so you get a kick out of my mom watches like hours of crime shows, and part of it is because she's a nurse, so she loves seeing like the inside of body parts and then being able to see. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm squeamish,
My mom's
so
the
I try
same
to
way.
watch with her, and I'm like, ugh, and she's like, "What's wrong with you? It's just intestines." I'm like,
yeah.
on the
My
road.
mom would watch like the surgery reality shows.
Yeah,
And it's just showing them
gross.
picking up guts and setting them on the table. I'm like, why do you watch this? That's interesting.
It's interesting. It is. It is.
I'm sitting there 12 years old trying not to vomit before school. Like,
Yeah.
come on, at least wait till I'm gone. This is awful.
Yeah, but she'd rather watch horror movies than like an anime or animated movie like Pixar.
Really? See, that
Wow.
I would love to have a conversation with somebody who's got that kind of taste, because it's just it's very interesting to me how vastly different taste can be in that kind of genre. Like, I like thrillers, but there's a definite difference between a thriller movie and just a gory horror movie. They all have some of the same elements, but a thriller is more, they're there to kind of scare you. But this is there to gross you out. And I just don't. I can't get there.
See, and I even think that there's a huge difference between like a horror movie and a gore movie.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
sure it gets exponentially worse. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I love horror movies and like psychological horrors, but yeah, gore movies like the Saw and stuff, I'm like, nope, sorry, no.
First one was great. First Saw movie was great, but then they just had to keep upping the ante with the disgusting stuff.
No,
See,
hard pass.
and I don't know. There's
Final Destination.
Oh, yeah.
I like the
That one
Final
was kind of a
Destination
comedy
movies.
series, though, too, wasn't it?
No,
It wasn't like
No.
Scream. It wasn't funny.
Final Destination.
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, like
The way the-
so
the way
some of
the-
the ridiculous deaths are funny because
Well, that's
they're
what I thought. Yeah, I guess
No,
that's
but
why
I
I
cannot
thought.
But now I
drive-
don't trust logging trucks
Thank
because
you.
of Final Destination
exactly.
or
Logging
rebar.
trucks and tanning beds. Don't trust them.
I guess just because of the previews I saw, it was always just goofy ways to die, and I thought, okay, this must be
No.
along the Scream lines.
No.
Wow, that's interesting. I've never
You
seen any
have
of
to
it.
watch them.
Well,
I
no, I,
don't mind
definitely
The
don't want to
Conjuring,
now.
though.
It's out.
Conjuring is good.
Yeah. Cool
Somebody
movie.
please back me up and tell Matt he has to watch the Final Destination movies.
Why?
At least one of them.
They're
Just at least one.
Nobody has to do anything
Thank
if they're
you,
not
KY.
comfortable with.
They're not.
I knew you'd be on my
gory.
side.
I'm gonna throw it under the like not everything is good for everybody category as far as scripture goes, because
Really
like
momming it.
how about traumaing it? Yeah.
But here's the thing. Matt watches the Purge movies.
Oh, I mean,
And if he can
yes.
watch the Purge
I
movies,
forgot I
then
watched
he
those.
can watch Final
but
Destination.
I also do the
Yeah.
same thing I do with the Scream movies, and I turn my head at the parts where people are getting stabbed or whatever. I just like the idea behind the Purge movies.
I like the idea.
You just
behind
like the
horror
idea
movies.
of people
I'm ready.
getting stabbed. That's
I'm
all.
ready.
We're ready for the Purge.
Never watched them.
They're not bad. Like, the storytelling is pretty good, but that's the key. If I'm gonna get into anything, I need. So, is there a good story behind the Final Destination movies?
Yes.
What's the story?
That you have a Final Destination. And
Well,
your death is coming.
It just seems like
Yeah.
the
But it doesn't
the
have to
more
be
adult.
gory.
Yeah, it seems like the more adult version of Dumb Ways to Die. Dumb Ways to Die.
It's not.
so there's not a strong story.
Chad, help
but
me out.
It plays the long game. So the strong story is in throughout the 6 movies, but like if you just watch one of them, you're probably not going to get the strong story.
All right, well then it's settled.
I said
There you
help.
go. Just watch
Help
Conjuring.
me out.
What'd you say, Artsy?
Watch The Conjuring. That's
Conjuring?
my kind of movie.
Oh my
Conjuring.
gosh.
So what's that one about?
No, okay, so that's where my line is. My line is when it comes to like spirits and things. That's that's where I like my spirit kind of goes, whoa, this is too much. You need to back off, but again, I can watch gore and I can watch blood and I can watch, it doesn't bother me.
In high school,
spirits bother me.
My wife, then girlfriend, and I were invited over to a friend's house. Bubba was there too, Bubba and his girlfriend. And it was his girlfriend's older sister's house. And they're like, come on over, we'll watch some movies. And they're like, awesome. And so we watched, there were 2 movies on the dock. And the first one was What Lies Beneath with Harrison Ford, which is kind of a scary, but not like uber scary, just kind of, a little minor thriller kind of thing.
Is that M. Night Shyamalan?
I don't remember. I don't remember who did it.
Anyway.
No.
No? Okay.
Anyway, it was good. I liked it. Then they put the second one on, and it was called Event Horizon. And I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but it's about how they're like trying to figure out how to travel across space super fast. And the way they figure out to do that is like folding space to where point A and point B are actually touching. So it's like an instant crossing of, millions of light years. And they do this and accidentally open a portal to hell on the spaceship. It is the scariest thing I ever saw as a teenager. And Daedra as well. And we both just sat there cradling each other as everybody else in the room was having the time of their lives watching this gory, demon-filled, terrifying movie.
And his wife never slept after that point.
Right.
Yeah, honestly, dude, since then, even she can't even watch like Psych before bed because someone dies in it now. Like, and she'll have nightmares. Like, it did cause her to have nightmares for the rest of her life.
What Lies Beneath was a Robert Zemeckis film.
Oh, yeah, it was. It was. I've watched that one again since then because that was a really good movie.
Wow.
Well, I think we drove. Don't.
We apparently.
The moral of the story.
We drove that one into the ground.
We apparently need to have an entire show where we just discuss different
scary
movies. Yeah.
Well, guys, hey, this was a fantastic conversation. Thank you all so much for joining us.
Yes.
It was fun.
Thank you.
We love y'all.
Tad, KY, and Artsy, thank you for your first time joining us. Hope you'll join us again for future discussions. We usually do one every week.
KY, enjoy your night fishing.
Thank you. I'm actually trying to nab a scorpion right now before it kills me.
Don't let it grab
thank you.
Isn't it nice that once they stab you, they at least carry you back to the front of your house?
I think it's guilt.
It's guilt.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Love you guys.
Love y'all. Love you too.
Thanks, guys.
That ends our discussion this week on the nerdy stuff we don't understand. But we want to know what you think. What did you think of our discussions? Is there something about nerd culture you don't get? Come share your thoughts in our Discord at backrowdiscord.com in the Respond to Show channel. Or message us on any of the socials at the BackRowLTN or leave us a voicemail at 575-562-8052. And that's going to do it for the Back Row Morning Show.
We hope you enjoyed our discussions and hope you'll join us again next week.
Remember that we air our full morning shows first exclusively on LTN Radio, LTNOnAir.com, every Monday through Thursday at 8 a.m. Eastern with an encore at 10 a.m. But if you miss a day or just can't catch the show live, you can find our 4 full shows and our weekly main podcast by searching The Back Row Morning Show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the podcast apps. Subscribe, rate 5 stars, and leave your review because we would really like it.
Check out lovethynerd.com. It is positively jam-packed with articles, podcasts, and videos that cover a wide range of nerdy topics. And just like any ministry, we are largely supported by those willing to partner with us financially.
As one of the newest staff members of LTN and a part-time nerd culture missionary, I'm looking to build my support team to help this radio station grow and help my family financially as I pour more focus into all I get to do for LTN. For more information, visit lovethynerd.com/radiomatt or just reach out to me directly. Love Thy Nerd is a qualifying 501c3 nonprofit organization, and your gift is tax deductible.
And make sure you're following us on all the socials. We're on the Book, the Twit, the Gram, and the Talk. Just search for @TheBackRowLTN and connect with us.
Once again, I'm Radio Matt.
And I'm Mo.
And remember, if nobody else tells you, we promise it's true.
Jesus loves you, nerd.